Imagine waking up one morning, feeling perfectly fine, and by evening, you're in the emergency room. No warning signs, no pain, just sudden crisis. This is the reality for millions of elderly people living with high blood pressure right now.
This is madness.
Sounds terrifying, right? But here's what shocked me when I dug into the latest research. Over 75% of people over 65 have high blood pressure, and most of them have no idea how dangerous
I promise
their
you,
normal
there is
really
real value and hope
They
ahead.
think,
Hold
"I
on to
feel
that,
fine,
and we will find
so
it together.
I must be fine." Wrong.
Pay
Stay
close
with me,
attention.
because
This
what
is
I'm about to
critical.
reveal could literally save your life or the life of someone you love. We're diving deep into why high blood pressure in the elderly isn't just a number on a monitor.
I
It's a
appreciate your
silent
attention.
threat
Please
that's
listen
rewriting the
carefully.
rules of aging.
What I have to share
Let's be
is
honest,
important.
high blood pressure isn't new. We've all heard about it, but here's what nobody tells you. High blood pressure in
I have
elderly
seen
people
much in my years.
is
Now,
fundamentally
listen closely.
different
The
from high
decisions we
blood
make now
pressure
will
in
define
younger
our future.
adults. It's not just worse, it's a completely different animal. When you're young, your blood vessels are like brand new garden hoses, flexible, resilient, strong. But after decades of use, they become stiff, brittle, like old rubber that's been left in the sun too long. This is called arterial stiffness,
You must heed my
and
words.
it's the game
The danger is
changer.
greater than you
Here's
know.
the shocking
You cannot
part.
afford to
A
ignore the signs any
70-year-old
longer.
with a blood pressure
The
reading
new
of
evidence clearly shows
140
the
over
timeline
90
is wrong.
faces,
This
triple
changes
the risk
everything
of
we
stroke
thought we knew.
compared to a 40-year-old with the same numbers. Why? Because their vessels can't handle the pressure anymore. They're one surge away from rupturing. Critical insight. The American Heart Association found that for every 20-point increase in systolic blood pressure above 115, the risk of
The evidence is
cardiovascular
clear
death
and reassuring.
doubles in people
We can
over
proceed with
65.
confidence.
That's not a typo, it doubles. But wait, here's where it gets even more complex. Many elderly people develop what doctors call
What if
isolated
everything you
systolic
believe is
hypertension,
wrong?
where the top number, systolic, is high, but the bottom number,
This
diastolic, is
one-size-fits-all
normal
approach is
or
inadequate.
even low.
We
This
need a more
creates a
nuanced
dangerous
solution.
pressure differential that puts massive strain on the heart and brain. You know what's crazy? Your grandmother might be walking around with a systolic pressure of 160, feeling totally fine, gardening, cooking, laughing with friends while her arteries are silently screaming for help. The threat isn't loud, it's silent.
Consider this carefully.
And that's exactly
The
what makes
essence
it so
lies in the
deadly.
details.
But that's not even the most dangerous part. Here's something that'll blow your mind. High blood pressure has earned the nickname the silent
I
killer
warned you this would happen.
because 95%
You
of
cannot
elderly
undo what
patients
is done.
experience zero symptoms until something catastrophic happens. Let me paint you a picture. Meet Margaret, a fictional composite of dozens of real cases I've researched. She's 68, active, plays with her grandkids, never misses her morning walk. She feels a little tired sometimes, maybe gets dizzy when she stands up too quickly. But who doesn't at 68, right? Then one Tuesday afternoon, while making lunch, she collapses. Massive stroke. Her blood pressure? It had been sitting at 170 over 95 for years. She just never checked it regularly. The real question is, why doesn't high blood pressure hurt? Because pain receptors don't line your blood vessels. Your body has no alarm system for this particular danger. It's like having a fire in your house, but no smoke detector. By the time you see the flames, it's often too late. Here's what's actually happening inside. Your heart is working overtime, thickening and enlarging left ventricular hypertrophy. Your kidneys are slowly filtering less efficiently,
Listen
accumulating
closely. The key to
damage.
success is
Tiny
preparation
blood
and focus.
vessels in your
Without
eyes
these, you
are
will fail. Do not
deteriorating.
forget this.
You might not notice until vision loss. Your brain is experiencing microbleeds, literally tiny strokes you don't even feel. A groundbreaking 2022 study from Johns Hopkins tracked 5,000
I stand with
elderly
confidence.
patients
My
with
balance and
untreated
safety
high blood
assured.
pressure.
I
After
embrace
5
each day
years,
with strength and poise.
68% had developed significant organ damage, heart disease, kidney disease, or vascular dementia, despite feeling completely
We
normal
must
for
approach
most of that
this
time.
with the
And
utmost
here's
caution.
the kicker. Even mild cognitive decline you might attribute to normal aging, forgetting names, losing keys, trouble concentrating
Let me
could
be
actually
clear.
be your brain
Rushing in
starving
is
for
not the
proper
answer.
blood
We must
flow
think
because
carefully
of
about the
uncontrolled blood
consequences
pressure.
before we act.
But wait, there's something even more surprising you need to understand. Now, here's where things get really interesting and honestly, a bit frustrating. You'd think treating high blood pressure in the elderly would be straightforward, just give them the pills, right? Wrong. Elderly patients face what I call the medication paradox.
Why won't it just
They need
open?
blood pressure control more than anyone else, but they're also the most vulnerable to the side effects of treatment. Let me explain. Most elderly people aren't just dealing
The
with
truth
high
has
blood
been
pressure.
hidden for too
They're
long.
managing 3,
Tonight,
4,
it is
sometimes
revealed.
7 different chronic conditions. Diabetes, arthritis, heart disease, kidney issues. They're already taking a cocktail of medications. Now add blood pressure pills to the mix, and suddenly you've got a potential recipe for dangerous drug interactions. Here's a real example. A common blood pressure medication, ACE inhibitors, can interact badly with diabetes medications, causing blood sugar to drop dangerously low. Or diuretics, water pills, can worsen gout or cause dehydration, which is already a massive risk for elderly people who naturally drink less water. The numbers are staggering.
Listen carefully.
Research shows
What I'm about
that
to
1
share
in
is
4
evidence of what
elderly
really
patients
happened.
experiences
This changes
adverse
everything.
drug reactions.
We must rely
from
on
blood
evidence-based
pressure
information.
medications,
It is
ranging
crucial to
from
critically
dizziness
evaluate claims to
and
ensure
falls
accurate
leading cause of
understanding.
hip fractures, to
Balance
kidney
is
problems
essential.
and electrolyte imbalances.
It brings peace and clarity.
And you know what's darkly
Find
funny?
your center.
The medication meant to prevent a fall-causing stroke might itself cause a fall-causing dizzy spell. It's like trying to put out a fire with water that might flood your house. But here's the thing, and this is critical. This does not mean elderly people should avoid treatment. It means treatment needs to be personalized, carefully monitored, and adjusted. The one-size-fits-all approach that works for younger patients can be dangerous for grandma. Doctors now recommend what's called individualized blood pressure targets. For some 80-year-olds,
I must warn you, this is
aiming for
no trivial matter.
150 over
The consequences will be
90
dire
might be
if you
safer than the
proceed.
standard 120
That is a
over
common
80
myth. Let me
if
correct
they're
it
frail
for you.
or have
The reality
multiple
is quite
conditions.
different from
It's
what
about
most
balancing
believe.
protection against risks. You're probably wondering, how do you know what's right? Quick thing before we continue.
Let me be clear,
if
this is a myth.
information
The facts
is
say
opening your
otherwise.
eyes to
It's time
something
to
you
stop
didn't
believing
know
what isn't
before,
true.
do me a favor and smash that like button. It genuinely helps this content reach more people who need it, especially families caring for elderly loved ones. And subscribe with notifications on, because I'm creating more life-saving content like this every week. Seriously, these topics don't go viral,
These nuts and
but they
seeds are
save
so
lives.
good for you.
And that
And a
only
little dark
happens
chocolate
if you
makes
help
it
spread the
perfect.
word.
Enjoy
All right,
every bite.
now let's talk about the consequences that nobody discusses openly. Let's get brutally honest about what happens when high blood pressure goes unchecked in elderly people. We're not just talking about statistics, we're talking about the complete destruction of independence and quality of life. First domino, the brain. Uncontrolled high blood pressure is the #1 modifiable risk factor for dementia. Let that sink in.
Remember, strength you
Every
need is
time
already
blood pressure
inside you.
spikes, it
With it, you can
damages
overcome
the
any
delicate
challenge.
blood vessels in the brain. Over years, this leads to vascular dementia, a progressive, irreversible decline in cognitive function. Imagine
This
going
beet juice
from
has a
doing
vibrant
crossword
color.
puzzles
I wonder if
and
it's as good
managing
for
your
you
own
as they say.
finances to not recognizing
I've
your
heard
own
that old
children.
advice 100 times.
That's not normal aging.
But I've
That's
seen enough to
preventable
know we know
damage
better.
from years of untreated high blood pressure.
These were supposed to
A
be the
landmark
healthier
study in the
choice,
Lancet
but
found
now
that
I'm
people
not so
over
sure.
60 with uncontrolled hypertension had a 62% higher risk of developing dementia compared to those with controlled blood pressure. 62%. Second domino, the heart. Your heart isn't designed to pump against constant high pressure. It's like asking a car engine to constantly run at maximum
Listen
RPM.
closely. Something
Eventually,
is approaching. Be
something
cautious.
breaks.
Stay alert.
The heart muscle thickens, hypertrophy, the chambers enlarge, and ultimately, it fails. Heart failure in the elderly
I know what
means
you mean, but
breathlessness
hold on
from
a moment.
walking across a room,
There's something else to
swollen
consider.
ankles, inability
Let me
to lie
explain.
flat without gasping for air, and complete dependence on others for basic daily activities. This isn't a Hollywood clutch your
I
chest
have
and fall
seen
over
much,
heart attack.
and
It's a
know that
slow,
true care shapes our shared
suffocating
future.
decline in function. The
My
reality
experience gives
check.
me confidence. You can trust what I'm about to
75%
share.
of heart failure
Let's work
cases
together
of
to achieve
people over
this.
65 are directly linked to uncontrolled high blood pressure. Third domino, the kidneys. Your kidneys filter your blood about 40 times a day. High blood pressure damages the tiny filtering units, nephrons,
Heed this
until the
warning.
kidneys
The
can't
path
keep
ahead is
up.
fraught with peril.
Eventually,
Proceed only if you are prepared for the
dialysis being
consequences.
hooked up to a machine
This
for
cannot
4
stand.
hours,
We have
3
been
times a
wronged,
week,
and I will
just
not
to stay
rest
alive.
until justice is
I
served.
spoke with a nephrologist who told me something chilling. Most of my elderly dialysis patients could have avoided this with 20 years of controlled blood pressure and a few lifestyle changes. Fourth domino, vision. High blood pressure damages the blood vessels in your retinas. This leads to retinopathy, blurred vision,
I must
dark
warn you, the
spots,
path
and
you're on
eventually
leads to ruin.
blindness.
Change course
Imagine
now
losing
before it's
the
too
ability
late.
to see your grandchildren's faces, to read, to watch the sunset. But here's what makes me genuinely angry. All of these dominoes are preventable. Not might be preventable, are preventable with proper management. The real tragedy isn't the disease itself, it's the missed opportunities to stop it before the damage becomes permanent. Now, you might be thinking, this is terrifying, but what can actually be done?
Let me explain how
Here's
these
the
drugs
good
raise your
news,
blood pressure.
And trust me,
They
after
cause your
all
blood
that heavy
vessels to
stuff,
constrict,
we
increasing
need
resistance.
some good news. High blood pressure in the elderly is one of the most treatable conditions in all of medicine. The interventions work, they work fast, and they don't require superhuman effort. Let me give you some hope backed by hard science. The DASH Diet Revolution. A study of 3,000 elderly participants who adopted the DASH diet, dietary approaches to stop hypertension, basically more fruits, vegetables, whole grains, less salt, saw their systolic blood pressure
Listen to
drop
me,
by an
the day's
average of
real and
11
closer than you
points
think.
in just 8
If you
weeks.
ignore this, there'll be no turning
No
back.
medication changes, just food. 11 points might not sound sexy, but it's the difference between stroke risk and safety for many people. The walking miracle. Moderate walking for just 30 minutes a day, 5 days a week, reduced systolic blood pressure by 5 to 8 points in elderly participants. That's equivalent to a low-dose medication, but with zero side effects and bonus benefits.
Your test
like better
results are
balance,
stable. How have
stronger
you been
bones,
feeling?
and
That's good.
improved
Let's
mood.
review your
The
medications.
sodium secret. Elderly people are particularly sodium sensitive. Cutting sodium intake from the typical 3,400 milligrams per day to the recommended 1,500 milligrams can drop blood pressure by 10 to 15 points. That's one dietary change with medication-level results. Here's what's powerful. These interventions stack. Diet plus exercise plus
I can't
stress
keep
management
going like this.
plus medication, if
Maybe
needed,
this will help.
equals comprehensive control that protects every organ system. I came across a beautiful case study. An 82-year-old man named Robert, real person, name changed, had a blood pressure of 168/94. His doctor wanted to add a third medication. Instead, Robert worked with a dietitian, started daily walks, learned meditation, and monitored his BP at home. 6 months later,
The truth has been ignored for too long.
over 78.
It is time to face it.
He reduced his medications from 2 to 1. But let me be clear, this isn't about replacing medical care with kale smoothies. It's about combining professional treatment with lifestyle modifications for maximum protection. The key is consistency and monitoring. Home blood pressure monitors cost less than a nice dinner out. And checking your pressure twice a day can provide data that saves your life. You know what the biggest barrier is? Not ability, not cost. It's awareness. People simply don't take it seriously until it's too late. And that's exactly why I made this video. So let's recap what we've uncovered today. First, high blood pressure in the elderly isn't just high numbers, it's a fundamentally different threat because of arterial stiffness and organ vulnerability. Second, the silence is the danger. You feel fine right until you don't, and by then, damage is done. Third, treatment requires personalization and careful balance, not cookie-cutter approaches.